back and ready to review again. So today we have physiology and histology, and well, we've got a couple more things than just that, but okay, yeah, physiology, histology, immunology, and then I'm going to be talking a bit about, well, I'm going to be studying some things for my exam on Tuesday, cardiology exam in physiology and histology. So, without further ado, let us commence. My nose is already running. That's how you know it's going to be a great stream. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get some tissues. Okay. So, here we go. This is the 24th, I believe. Yes. Cellular physiology of the neuron. So, at rest, the neuron maintains a balance of electrical charge across the cell membrane, and that's called the resting membrane potential. Sodium, potassium, chloride ions are the primary ions that do this. They're inside and outside the cell. Hey, W Wizard, you subscribed? Thank you. It's good to have you here. But they are maintained intra and extracellularly. Are you going to do fast in a $300 donation? Sorry for this. What? I don't know what you mean by that. I'm sorry. Am I going to do fast? Impermeable and transporters, channels and pumps. Alterations in the concentration of these ions. What am I going to do if I send a $300 donation? Dalmatian? A $300 dog? I don't know. I've never seen a Dalmatian before, but oh, well, I know what you meant. I think you meant donation. I don't know. Probably going to keep studying. I mean, yeah, I know, I was messing with you. Hey, W Wizard, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Hey, Janessa. Hey, Masuma. I hope I said your name right. I don't know, Roxy. I mean, I'm just studying right now. If you send a $300 donation, I'd be grateful, but, I mean, I don't know what else I'd do. I'm doing okay, Janessa. How are you? Whenever the concentration of the ions extra and intracellularly is changed, it can result in disease, neurologic or neuromuscular. Okay, then there's something called equilibrium potential. Yeah. The Nernst equation describes the electrochemical equilibrium distribution of an ion between two compartments that are separated by a membrane that contains channels selected for that ion. Okay. Ion concentrations. Two forces have an effect on movement of ions. And those two forces are the concentration gradient and the electrical gradient. At rest, there's a potassium leak outward, which is down the concentration gradient. And the sodium-potassium pump moves potassium back in. Yeah. So there's like a drift in the resting membrane potential. There's a very specific graph that I can't show you because it's copyrighted material, but it's like slowly going up, slowly getting less negative. Voltage gated sodium, yeah, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Stimulus. Yeah, so an action potential is comprised of a stimulus, which can be chemical, electrical, mechanical. Some examples of chemical are synapse or inflammation. And then there's, after the stimulus, there's a rapid depolarization, which is done by voltage-gated sodium channels. And then there's a repolarization. That's where the potassium channels open. And then there's a hyperpolarization, number 4. And then step 5 is restoration and maintenance. It just goes back to normal. And it does that by the ATPase sodium-potassium pump. And where's my water bottle? I'll be right back. I'll get my water. Okay. The voltage-gated sodium channel is highly selective for sodium ions, and it opens at about negative 55 millivolts. Okay. Resting membrane potential is around negative 70 millivolts. About membrane threshold potential is around negative 55 millivolts. Hey, T. Feely. Good to see ya. Voltage-gated potassium channels open at the same time. The sodium channels close at about positive 30 to 40 millivolts, I guess. Okay, these are a lot of numbers. I don't think I have to know. Refractory period. There's something called the absolute refractory period. That's where the sodium channel is inactivated. And then there's the relative refractory period, which is hyperpolarization, which it makes it require even more voltage change to open the now reactivated sodium channels. Okay. Conduction along an axon. So myelin insulates those neurons. Not all neurons are insulated by myelin. Action potentials don't happen in neurons tightly wrapped with myelin. Then there's something called nodes of Ranvier, which those are breaks in the myelin where the action potential happens. So there's little short bursts of myelin, basically, and in between those are the nodes, which is where the action potentials occur. And at those nodes, the impulse is recharged, so it doesn't lose any electrical current, or any voltage. Yeah. And it's very, very quick. Very fast. An action potential causes the inside of the neuron cell membrane to become positively charged in reference to the outside. An action potential generates local currents that tend to depolarize the membrane immediately adjacent to the action potential. Absolute refractory period causes action potential propagation to occur in one direction, not two. Action potentials cannot travel in both directions on the axon. It's either one direction or the other at a certain time. Threshold is the minimum current required for the cell membrane to generate an action potential. Okay, next we have the strength of the signal. An action potential's all or nothing. And it's determined by the summation of input signals. Whether you have more than one action potential is also called summation. And for that signal to be passed on, neurotransmitters must be released at the synapse, and that requires calcium channels to open for that to happen. These potentials can be inhibitory or excitatory, which means they can stop the nerve function, or they can start it again, I think. And that's what that hyperpolarizing and depolarizing is kind of referring to again. When the sodium channel opens, that's what causes the nerve to work. If that sodium channel is stuck shut, an action potential cannot happen and the nerve is dysfunctional. A drug that does this, for example, is lidocaine. It interferes with the sodium channel temporarily, shuts down the whole process, but after a while it wears off and then you can feel again, right? That's why lidocaine is used as a local anesthetic. Local meaning only a certain part of the body, and anesthetic meaning, like, I'm pretty sure it just means you can't feel anything. So, in short, at dendrite inputs from many presynaptic neurons, there's a release of transmitters, which leads to graded response on the dendritic plasma membrane, which is postsynaptic, through summation. Inhibitory and excitatory postsynaptic potentials can be elicited by this, and when the membrane is depolarized enough, it initiates an action potential at the proximal axon region, which is also referred to as the axon hillock. Axon hillock. Axon hillock. I don't know. Self-propagating action potentials travel down the length of the axon, which maintains the amplitude, and it's only one direction. It only goes one direction. Hey, Wizard. How you doing? Good to see you again, man. And arrival at the presynaptic terminal region activates voltage-gated calcium channels in the presynaptic terminal membrane, which triggers neurotransmitter release. You were doing admin on Roblox. Okay. That's pretty cool. So, for example, if you were to put too much potassium in an intravenous drip, I guess, that could cause bad things because the heart might become less polarized, which could lead to more seizures, which could lead to possible death. Because the normal blood potassium's only about 4, I don't know, there wasn't a unit given, but this could move it up to 5 or 6. Again, I don't know what the unit was, but that just that small difference could lead to asystole problems, lots of heart problems. Wizard, I'm doing okay. How about yourself? And then there's the synapse. That's where like acetylcholine is a key neurotransmitter usually released during synapse. And hey Jameson, how you doing? Hey King Walker, how are you? Aubrey's, how you doing? Or Aubrey, I guess. Not Aubrey's. That's just in your username. Just so you guys know, I'm not a doctor yet, but I'm in vet school, so I will be in about 4 years or so. What is my real name? My channel name. Nicholas Bremer. I don't know if it's Bremer or Bremer. We've always said Bremer, but pretty sure it's named after the town of Bremen, which is in Germany. Yeah. I know it's backwards, but there's my name. At least it's backwards for me. I don't know if it is for you guys. Showing it to my desktop stream. I'm the best. Well, I don't know about that, but thank you. What time did I get up? 5 a.m. Well, I got up this morning actually at like 1:40 a.m. and I was like, I felt pretty alert, but I was like, and so I just tried to go back to sleep, and I fell asleep until 5. So I must have needed more sleep, I guess. I don't know. But do I want to be famous? Good question. I don't know. I don't think so. Because with fame comes plenty of problems. Yeah, sure, I'd probably be wealthy with money, but I just don't know. I mean, because once you're famous, you lose your privacy, you lose a lot of time, maybe, because you have to tend to, well, it's not necessarily a bad thing, I mean, Jesus was famous, locally at least. So, I don't know, that's a good question. I'd rather be influential than famous. And those two may go hand in hand. But, I don't know, because I can have an impact on, I can have a great impact on a few people's lives, or I can have a small impact on a lot of people's lives. What are some goals I want for the future? Well, I want to be graduated from vet school today, but I can't be graduated today. In the near future, I just want to do well in my exams, get to winter break, get to Christmas break, Thanksgiving breaks before that. Yeah, Wizard, that's a good point. That's a great point. It's like, thank you, King Walker. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, man. But some goals in the farther future, farther future, are that I want to work with my dad at his clinic. I want to be married, and I just want to help people. Ultimately, I want to go forth and make disciples of all nations, just like Jesus said. I want to teach people best I can, or encourage people about the Bible, and maybe do Bible studies over YouTube. That'd be cool. But I like building Legos. I might build Legos, record some videos of that. I like doing stuff like this where I get to talk to people like you all and study for, whatever I'm studying. Well, I don't like studying. I'll be dead honest. I hate studying, but I have to do it because otherwise I don't learn the material. But anyway, yeah, that's true. No, that's a good opinion, Wizard. I see what you mean. Yeah, paparazzi, that's a real thing. You lose your privacy. But yeah, then people are like, "Hey, can I get your autograph?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, okay, I guess." Yeah, but then I don't know. The thing about autographs is like, are they just gonna sell it? I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? Anyway. Okay, there's 7 steps of neurotransmission. Step 1 is the neurotransmitter molecules are prepackaged into vesicles, and the vesicles are concentrated and docked at the presynaptic membrane of terminal. That doesn't seem grammatically correct, but step 2, the presynaptic membrane depolarizes, usually as the result of an action potential. Step 3, the depolarization causes voltage-gated calcium channels to open and allows calcium ions to flow into the terminal. If they sell it, then people think you're worth buying. That's a good point. I never thought about that. That is a good point. Yeah, once you get famous enough, it's like, oh wow, his autograph. But I mean, I don't want to be worshipped. either. So it's weird because once you get famous enough, there's always going to be people that worship you. You know, like you're a literal idol to them. I don't want to be an idol. I want to lead people to Jesus, kind of like how Paul said. He said, I think he said, well, I don't want to misquote this, but I'm pretty sure he said, as I believe in Jesus, believe also in me. John 14:1. Oh, no, it was Jesus. I'm sorry. Believe in God. Wait, hold on. John. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. Okay, King Walker, I'll be here. Yeah, fame has a dark side. Yeah, I've heard that as well. Once you get famous enough, well, I mean, for example, if I get sponsorships or whatever on YouTube, which may happen one day, but then what if, I mean, I'm not, here's the thing, like, I don't want to accept sponsorships of things I don't believe in. Because then you got to say what they want you to say. That's what a sponsorship is. And, I don't know. I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. You're back, King Walker. All right. Glad you're back. Step 4 of the 7 steps of neurotransmission is the increase in intracellular calcium ions triggers calcium ion concentration. Triggers fusion of vesicles with the presynaptic membrane by a neuron-specific protein complex known as the SNARE complex. You would have to worry about getting killed, and you don't have to expect a sponsor. That's true. Well, I mean, if I spend all my days worrying about getting killed, then I'm going to have gray hairs in a couple of years, you know. I've come to believe that when I die, it was my time to die. God ordained it. I mean, as soon as I die, that's sooner I, you know, get to rest until he comes again, right? Because you can't sin when you're dead. I mean, I struggle with sin every day, temptations, but I'll never be tempted again if I'm dead. So, no, you are doing great. Thanks, man. I don't want to die, but I'm just saying the sooner that I do, sooner that anybody does, as long as they're saved, I guess, sooner they go get to be with Jesus. It's a big world, and I'm only 12, so I have a lot longer to find out if I make it big. I won't die, King Walker. I'm not worried about it. Well, I'm not going to make any promises. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell the future, but I mean, mentally, I'm perfectly fine, I think. My self-esteem's pretty high. Not too high. I'm trying not to be prideful or anything, but yeah, Wizard, you'll be fine. Just work hard. If I were you, yeah, just be careful, man. Be careful who you follow, because who you follow shapes you into who you will be. And then as you begin to become a leader, those people who follow you will maybe, they might turn out like you, right? So, if you want to be a good example, then be a good example. Do I play games? Yeah, I play games. I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring recently. I don't know if any of you guys have Elden Ring. I really like it. It's fun. I'd like to play it more with people, real people, But I play it on computer. Hey Milo, how you doing? Do I play Among Us and stuff like Fortnite or Roblox? Well, I have played Fortnite a long time ago in Season 1, I think. Or Season 2, I can't remember. I think it was Season 1. And I used to play Roblox. I haven't played them much recently, though. Can I give you an American football question? Sure. Sure you can. I don't know anything about it, but sure. But yeah, if anyone has Elden Ring, then if you guys ever want to play, let me know. I think I've got a post function on my channel that you guys can like make your own posts, kind of like Facebook or Instagram. I don't know how it works, but anyway. Are you good at sports? No. No, not really. I mean, I lift weights. If bodybuilding's considered a sport, then maybe, but I'm not that good at that. I just do it to try and be healthy, and because I like looking buff. But who started for the New England Patriots in 2000? The New England Patriots. I don't know. Or I'll say the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm kidding. That's a baseball team. I've got much more baseball experience than football, but I don't know who did start for the New England Patriots in 2000. How old am I? 21 right now. Who in this is a sub and gaming is a sport? Yeah, that's true. Gaming is a sport. Thank you, GC Sport. I appreciate the subscription. Thank you. Anyway, I gotta get done with all this studying. Step 5, the transmitter is released into the extracellular space and diffuses passively across the synaptic cleft. Step 6, some of the transmitter molecules bind and activate receptors in the postsynaptic membrane, causing the opening of an ion channel or the activation of a G protein coupled signal cascade. Yeah, I've thought of doing gaming as a sport for a long time because I've always been pretty alright at games. Do I like my house? Well, I'm very grateful for it. It's actually an apartment. But yeah, I'm very grateful for it. Do I like it? Yeah, it's okay. I mean, our upstairs neighbor can be loud sometimes, and he smokes a lot of marijuana, so it stinks sometimes. We've got cockroaches, so that's not nice. We have flies, which like to put maggots everywhere. Not everywhere, just in our kitchen trash, basically, which is probably more of a problem with our trash. Maybe we don't take it out often enough, but we're trying to save money, so we try like smushing all the trash down, and I mean, it's probably the eggshells. Guess how old I am. Well, you said you're 21. I'll have to guess. So. But yeah, I'm still grateful for it. The bugs aren't so bad. You just get used to them, I guess. I mean, it's still kind of nasty because they do carry disease, but we try to clean bi-weekly, I guess. Deep clean. Like, because we're really not that dirty. It's only my brother and I who live here right now. Step 7 is signal termination. The transmitter molecules are cleared away by diffusion, enzymatic degradation, and active uptake into cells. Thank you, Wizard. Appreciate you. Okay, voltage-gated calcium channels. The calcium concentration is going to be much higher in the extracellular space and very low in the cytoplasm. And calcium has a positive charge. So, yeah. Okay, depolarization occurs because more sodium ions diffuse into the cell than potassium ions diffuse out of it. Repolarization occurs because potassium ions continue to diffuse out of the cell after the inactivation gates of the voltage-gated sodium ion channels begin to close. Hello, Fatima. I'm the best. Well, I don't know about that, but thank you. Wizard, you gotta go? Alright, man, I'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in. Hyperpolarization or after potential occurs because the increased potassium ion permeability lasts slightly longer than the time required to bring the membrane potential back to its resting level. After the passage of the action potential, the sodium-potassium pump reestablishes the resting membrane potential. And the sodium-potassium pump does not use bulk transport to move the sodium and potassium ions. Okay, we're done with physiology and histology notes. Now, well, I don't want to go over immunology. I think I'm just going to skip it. Because all we did was talk about viruses anyway. It was like a 20-minute lecture. Pretty good lecture. Pretty cool guy that lectured, but I don't know. You're in 17th grade, huh? So you've been in college for 5 years. Wow. Is that right? Or am I wrong? I don't know how to do the chat function on my chat is disabled for this live stream. What? Why? Hey, Shivan. How you doing? It's not fair. Okay. Am I a doctor? No, not yet, but I will be in 4 years about. I'm in vet school right now. Moderation. There we go. There we go. Now I can see the chat. Good. Oh. KJV. Oh, it must have been a copy and paste. All right. Cool. Finally figured that out. Okay. I'm going to start off with just cardiology stuff. Okay, which of the following is the largest body fluid compartment? The extracellular fluid, the intracellular fluid, the transcellular compartment, or the interstitial compartment? I think it's the intracellular fluid. Yes, it is. Okay. Hey, I'm not sure how to say your username. Choms Creature? Choms Creature? Hey, how you doing? What is hematocrit? Packed RBC volume, a protein, plasma, or packed white blood cell volume? It is packed red blood cell volume. What factors must be taken into consideration when evaluating a patient's fluid balance? Age, sex, obesity, or all of the above? I think it's all of the above, yeah. Because whether an animal's male or female, whether an animal's old or young, whether an animal's fat or not, those all come into play there. Hey, French Beans, how you doing? Yo, what's your name, bro? My name's Nicholas. Nicholas. I think it's backwards, but that's my name. Which component is not concentrated in the extracellular fluid? Sodium, potassium, chloride, or bicarbonate? It's potassium. Yes. What's up, bro? Not much. Not much is up. Just studying right now. The plasma has a higher concentration of proteins compared to interstitial fluid. I would say yes, true. And that is correct. The interstitial fluid compartment has a higher concentration of proteins compared to the plasma. What am I searching up on Google? Actually, I'm gonna video capture video. There we go. I am actually doing a Kahoot right now. I think it's only visible on my horizontal stream. So you guys, if you guys want to see it, it's on that. But you can also just stay on this stream. I'll still read out the questions and stuff. Okay. The interstitial fluid compartment has a higher concentration of proteins compared to the plasma. I would say false. And that's correct. What am I searching up on Google? I'm not searching anything up on Google. I'm on Kahoot right now. Does gross particle number or particle size determine where water will move as it follows osmotic pressure? So does the particle size matter? No. Does the particle number matter? Yes. Which ions make up the bulk of the osmoles in the intracellular fluid? Then what am I reading on? It's Kahoot. Kahoot, that's what it's called. It's on my laptop, which is making a lot of fan noise right now. Hey, True Skills, how you doing? Good to see you, man. But yeah, I can't really screen share it on this stream. Yep, this is Kahoot, but it's on my horizontal stream. So that's also on my channel right now. Yeah. Okay, which ions make up the bulk of the osmoles in the intracellular fluid? Intracellular, I think, is potassium. Correct. A red blood cell is placed into a hypertonic solution. What happens to cell volume? The cell is going to shrink. What processes does the body use to regulate extracellular osmolality? Two of these are correct, and I only have to select one. So there's sodium excretion. Sure. How do I do that? I'm not... Oh, I'm not logged in. I don't think I can. I don't even think I have a Kahoot account. I can try to send the link, I think. I wonder if that would work. Let me see here. Well, I don't think I can send. Can I send? No, I can't send comments in the vertical stream, but I sent the link in the horizontal stream on my channel, so there it is. Pedialyte. Brain water intake or antidiuretic hormone water excretion. So the body will either intake water in the brain or excrete water in the body to fix ion differences, ion concentration discrepancies. What is the force, or what are the forces that regulate fluid movement between the plasma and the interstitium? Select one of two which are correct. Just making sure it's okay. Let's see here. Osmotic pressure and hydrostatic pressure. Those are the right answers here. Alterations to body fluids will always begin in the ICF. False. What happens to ICF volume and osmolality with loss of a hypotonic fluid, like sweating? What is the number of my Kahoot game so that I can go on there? I don't know. I don't know what the number is. This was a link shared in our class group meet. But I shared the link in the horizontal stream. Yeah, I don't know. So it's in the horizontal stream. So this is the vertical stream. The horizontal stream is also on my channel. If you exit this stream and go to that one, you should be able to find a link in the comment or in the chat section. What happens to ICF volume and, okay, so sweating would decrease the volume and increase the osmolality, which is a common way of taking in water. Food, water, or oxidation, all of those are correct. Okay, what happens to plasma sodium during hyponatremia, and what are the subsequent short-term consequences to the cells? Hypo means below or less than normal. So not enough salt or not enough sodium. Yeah, it's not in this chat. It's not in this vertical stream chat. It's going to be in my other stream that I'm running. Right there. On my, right there. Horizontal stream, also on my YouTube channel. Sodium, I think the cells are going to swell because it's then going to be hypotonic, but I could be wrong. Sodium, yep, no, it's right. Which is not one of the consequences of hypernatremia. Too much salt is going to cause intense thirst, cell shrinking, good, I see ya. Hey Aubrey, good to have you back. Let me know if it works, if that link works. What happens to plasma sodium during hypernatremia and the subsequent short-term consequences to the cells? Sodium is going to go above 160, and the cells are going to shrink. Happy Diwali. What's Diwali? How will a brain cell compensate for hypernatremia? Regulatory volume decrease or increase. I think this is something I've always had trouble with. I think the brain somehow takes in water. So volume increase via decrease of electron. Nope, that's not right. So it increases via an increase of electrolytes. I'm not sure how that works, but anyway. What does the term third space mean when referring to body fluid compartments? Space that does not equilibrate with extracellular fluid and results in loss of blood volume. Edema only afflicts the extracellular compartments. No, you can have intracellular edema as well. There we go. No, it doesn't. You can have extracellular edema as well. Key factor that drives intracellular edema during ischemia is the failure of ionic pumps that leads to accumulation of intracellular sodium. Which is not a factor describing prevention of extracellular edema. The link won't load. You may not have access. Maybe it's only given to my peers in vet school. I don't know. Which is not a factor describing prevention of extracellular edema. Well, let me check. Maybe the link's bad. No, it works. At least it works for me. Okay. Not a factor describing prevention of extracellular edema. Am I on Instagram? Yes. Yes, I am. Which is not a factor describing prevention of extracellular edema. Not a factor. I think it's, increases in capillary permeability, because low compliance is washed down. Yes, Chams, I saw your message. I don't think it must not be available for those who are not in vet school with me, I guess, are not my peers in vet school, I suppose. I don't know. It works for me, the link does, so I don't know. Sorry. I tried to send it, but it looks like it's not working. What school? Oklahoma State University College of Veterinary Medicine. Which of the following does not cause extracellular edema? A wide range of lymph flow. What controls the flow of blood entering a capillary? Precapillary sphincter, yes. Which of the following is considered a semilunar valve and on the right side of the heart? The pulmonary valve. Which of the following is considered a semilunar valve and is on the left side of the heart? The aortic valve. Which of the following is considered an atrioventricular valve and is on the left side of the heart? I think it's the mitral valve. Yep. It's got two cusps, and it's on the left side, which is more muscular. And then the tricuspid, it's got three cusps. It's on the right side. Part of the conduction system in the heart that's predominantly innervated with parasympathetic fibers from the left vagi. SA node. No, it's the AV node. Dog heart has described this heart enlarged. It's 3% of its body weight. That's a big old heart for a dog. If the heart is 1%, it's about normal. Nope, okay, it's still enlarged. Apparently it's supposed to, I think it's 0.06. Okay, that's atrophied. 0.03 is atrophied. 0.06 is normal. Yeah. In 2 or 3 chambered hearts, what typically lies between the ventricle and the aorta? The conus or the bulbus arteriosus. Which of the below does not describe single unit or visceral smooth muscle? Well, single unit does contract as a unit. I'm pretty sure it's controlled by multiple nerves, and it does not have gap junction. Nope, never mind. It's controlled, yeah, it's controlled by multiple nerves, so I answered wrong. Actin is connected to blank in smooth muscle cells. I don't know what SMCs is supposed to mean here. Which are broadly distributed across cell membranes. Dense bodies. Which of the following are part of the cardiac myocyte action? Hey, Choms. I'm pretty sure it's myosin. No, it's all of the above. What school? I said it was Oklahoma State University College of Veterinary Medicine. The contraction of an SMC is largely dependent upon the amount of calcium. True? Yes. What channels open first in the phase of a cardiac action potential? Voltage-activated fast sodium channels. There is basal level of autonomic nervous system innervation on cardiac output. I'd say true. Basal meaning base. What appropriately describes the atrioventricular node? It's the secondary pacemaker. I should have said all the above. Yep. On Wigger's diagram, what describes the point where the aortic valve opens and volume begins to decrease in the ventricle? I think it's ejection. Yep. Which of the following in an ECG describes ventricular depolarization? Is it the The QRS complex. Ventricular depolarization is the QRS complex. Which limb lead is the sum of the other two? Lead 2. Layville Junior Academy? Okay, that's pretty cool. Where's that at? S2 in the phonocardiogram represents what valve closing? The semilinear valves. The RR interval is 0.83. The heart rate is 72 BPU. What CPU? Oh. What country am I in? The United States. United States of America. Mannitol has a reflection coefficient that is close to blank and thus makes it an excellent blank. 1. An osmotic diuretic. What factors are endogenous factors that prevent edema? All of the above. Which components of a blood vessel line the inside? You're in Canada? That's cool. My dad goes there a lot to fish. What components of a blood vessel line the inside? Tunica intima. Where does blood pressure fall the most in the vascular tree? I would say veins. Okay, it's resistance arterial. How old am I? I'm 21. Which vessels are low pressure and serve as blood reservoirs? Veins. You're 13? That's awesome, man. Are you enjoying school so far? My favorite color is green. That's cool. Red. Which is not one of the primary body fluid compartments. The osmotic compartment, that's not a thing. Dang it, it was plasma and interstitial fluid. I should have known that. ICF, 40%. Thank you for the sub, man. I appreciate it. What is the most abundant substance that diffuses through the cell membrane? That would be water. What? Which structure in blood vessels is typically composed of smooth muscle cells? Tunica media. My favorite food is probably steak. Right now, I think. Where is the highest pressure system located in the vascular tree? Arteries. Low pressure, larger lumen, thinner tunica media, more dispensable blood reservoir. Veins. Anything with blood reservoir in it is a vein. Prevent backflow into atria, soft closure, and papillary muscles. Atrioventricular valve. What valve prevents backflow in the ventricle? Semilunar valve. Which valves are responsible for the dub sound? Semilunar. Which valves are responsible for the lub sound? Atrioventricular. Cardiac layers equal inner layer, endocardium. Muscular middle layer, myocardium. Protective outer layer, pericardium. No, it was actually the epicardium. So pericardium is a double-walled, fluid-filled sac, and the protective outer layer of the heart is the epicardium, or the visceral serous pericardium. So that's all part of the pericardium, okay. The myocardium performs as a functional syncytium. Let's say true. The AV node is a multiple-way conduction path. It is not. The slower the SA node, the faster the heart rate. No, because AV node is parasympathetic. Which of these characteristics of the right side of the heart is not correct? It is deoxygenated blood. It is responsible for pulmonary blood flow. It is not oxygenated. Which valve has 3 leaflets or cusps and has chordae tendineae? Tricuspid. Part of conduction system located in the posterior wall of the right atrium and slows atrial conduction. AV node. Two-chamber heart has 1 atrium, 1 ventricle, and single circulation. Yes, that is true. The 3-chamber heart has 2 atria, 1 ventricle, and incomplete double circulation. That is true. 4-chamber heart has 2 atria, 2 ventricles, and single false. No single circulation. It's got double circulation. In 2 or 3-chambered heart, what receives the venous blood before it enters the right atrium? The sinus venosus. I should have known that. What is distinctive about the bird heart? It's the size of the left ventricle, I believe. Yeah. They gotta pump blood a lot more concisely. All closed system circulations have at least one ventricle and presence of valves. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Across mammals, heart size and myocytes are altered to adapt to the size of the animal. No, it's not the myocytes. The myocytes stay the same. How do SMC smooth muscle cells typically contract? Tonically and phasic. What type of SMC possesses contact junctions and doesn't seem to respond to other stimuli outside of neural input? Contact junctions? I've never heard of that term before, but it is multi-unit SMC. So I think they were talking about gap junctions. Unlike skeletal muscle cells, SMC can contract for days. That's true. Okay, so now I know SMC is talking about smooth muscle cells. What ion or molecule is responsible for depolarization of a smooth muscle cell? Calcium. Which is not a local influence on arteriolar radius. Heat or cold is I don't know what EC substances is supposed to mean. I guess. Okay, it was circulating factors. What ion is responsible for phase 0 depolarization in a cardiac muscle cell? That's calcium. Yep. What components of myosin controls binding to actin? ATPase. Nope. It is both ATPase and 4 light chains. The SA node lacks phase 1 and 2 because of a lack of influence on sodium channels. I say false. I think no, okay, it's true. What would parasympathetic activation do to the SA node? Excuse me. Decrease rate of polarization. What term is used to describe increases in ventricular pressure but no change in volume? Isovolumetric contraction. What term is to describe decreases in ventricular pressure but no change in volume? Isovolumetric relaxation. What part of the ECG represents atrial depolarization? So the QRS complex represents the ventricle depolarization. So I think the P wave. Yep, P wave. The shape and amplitude of the QRS complex will remain the same regardless of what lead is used. That's false. If the mitral valve is not functioning properly in a dog, where would you expect to hear it? S1. Closure of AV valves at onset of systole, also known as lub, S1. Closure of semilunar valves at end of systole, dub, S2. Vibration of ventricles during late diastole or atrial systole. S4? Yes, S4, late diastole. Vibration of ventricles during rapid filling, I think, is S3. If the atria contract harder than expected and overfill the ventricles, what would happen? Preload would increase. Okay. Osmotic force is what drives fluid across the ICF and ECF. True. Where do changes to body fluid begin? I think in the extracellular fluid, yes. What are some of the ways that daily loss of water occurs? Sweat, feces and urine, and insensible. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. A patient experiences hyponatremia, what occurs short term to cell volume? The cell volume is going to increase because the cell is going to swell. How will a brain cell compensate for hyponatremia? The brain is going to shrink, regulatory volume decrease, and a loss of electrolytes. How will a brain cell compensate for hypernatremia? Regulatory volume increase. Why would hypernatremia be less common than hyponatremia? Because it both increases thirst and ADH secretion. You would replenish volume to a patient who has been hypernatremic for 24 hours by giving hypoosmotic saline slowly. Yes, that's probably a good idea. There is only intracellular edema, not extra. Nope, that's false. Which sentence describing the relevant factors to extracellular edema is false? It's either increased plasma osmotic pressure or decreased plasma osmotic pressure, but I'm not sure which. Extracellular edema factors. So it's increased plasma osmotic pressure because plasma is a component of extracellular fluid, and if there's too much fluid in the extracellular fluid, it's probably due to that. Okay, that makes sense. Decreased plasma proteins will blank extracellular edema. Probably decrease. No, it says increase. Okay. Which pressure will draw water back into the capillary? Osmosis, osmotic pressure. Size of particles is the most important aspect of contributing to osmotic pressure. False. It's the number of particles. What drives total osmolarity in the ECF? Potassium and sodium. Ooh, yep. Yeah. No, okay, it's actually sodium and chloride. Okay. A protein has a reflective coefficient of 0.8. Is it going to cross the membrane? Probably not, I guess. A cell is placed into a hypertonic solution. What happens to the cell's volume? Decreases. Aldosterone regulates plasma sodium concentration. False. If the salinity of seawater changed, would it affect the animals that regulate osmosis? No, it would not, because they regulate it, I guess. Cells are capable of regulating cell volume after volume perturbation caused by osmotic challenge. Yes. Regarding reflective coefficients in osmosis, the solute with which coefficient is most likely to permeate the membrane? I'd say 0. Okay, 0 is the answer. Least likely to permeate the membrane is 1. Most likely is 0. Closer to 0. Okay, that makes sense. What is the of capillaries that allows for water and ions to rapidly cross into the interstitium? The intercellular cleft. Size and solubility are the two relevant factors to permeability. That is true. Size and solubility. In a classical capillary, how does albumin cross the capillary membrane? It's small enough to pass. No, okay, that's not true. It minimally crosses the membrane, so barely does at all. What factor decreases across the capillary? Capillary hydrostatic pressure. What method of blood collection would you use if needing a coagulation assay or study? Plasma. Which of the cell components of blood are anucleate in a dog? Platelets and erythrocytes. Okay. An infection is causing hemolysis in a cat. What distinctive characteristic would you expect? Reticulocytes. Jaundice. Why jaundice? Okay. Platelet production is driven by thrombopoietin, which is under negative control by platelets and positive control by megakaryocytes. I'd say true. Skeletal muscles are involuntary and striated. False, they're voluntary and striated. Smooth muscles are involuntary. True. Cardiac muscles are involuntary and striated. True. Blank are the conducting arteries. Elastic arteries, okay. The lumen is bigger in an artery than in a vein. That's false. Tunica adventitia is the largest layer in the vein. I don't remember. I think it's true. Okay. What is the function of vasa vasorum? I don't even know what that is. Supplies blood to the arteries? Okay, it does, yep. Elastic arteries have many elastic laminae in the tunica media. I think so, yes, it's true. Muscular arteries are most active in constriction and dilation to control blood pressure. True. Arterioles can lack the internal elastic lamina, which is not one of the three forms of arteries. Capillary. That's not an artery. Capillaries have a large lumen, allowing several RBCs to flow through at the same time, increasing efficiency. False. How many endothelial cells cover the lumen of a capillary? Seven? No, it's one. Okay. Continuous capillaries allow what to pass through? I don't know. Gas exchange, ion, fluid, glucose, leukocytes. That's okay. That's true. Discontinuous capillaries allow what to pass through? Nothing. No. Free transfer of proteins, RBC, white blood cells, and water. Fenestrated allows small molecules and proteins. Okay. Arteries have valves to prevent reverse flow. That's not true. They just have a pressure. What? Okay, how is increased thickness of tunica media associated with blood pressure? Well, more... I think higher. Higher vascular pressure. Okay. What part of the vasculature would most likely be affected by the sympathetic nervous system? Tunica media. Lymphatics is a two-way system due to the lack of valves. It's not. It is one way. Which layer of the blood vessel wall is primarily responsible for regulating vessel diameter and blood pressure? I have no idea. Vessel diameter and blood pressure. I'd say the media. Yes. Okay. Which of the following blood vessels primarily functions as the site of nutrient and gas exchange? Capillary. Which type of muscle tissue is primarily responsible for the involuntary movements of internal organs? Smooth. Yep. Okay. Huh. 129 divided by 160. Okay, 80%. Could have been better. Interesting. Oh, but I don't want to do all those again. I just want to do the ones I got wrong. Whatever. I'll probably do this again tomorrow, I guess. Okay. So atrial depolarization is the P wave. Ventricular depolarization, ventricular, is the QRS complex. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, I'm going to stop streaming because I'm exhausted mentally. So, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see y'all in the next one.